There's no such thing as private and confidential patient files anymore. That's fair income, I couldn't believe it.
Before I get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to each and every single one of you, especially the people who have been marching every week. Raise your hands if you've been marching every week. Also, I want to give a shout out to the Australian Veterans for Freedom who have been marching every week. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Australians, it is my honour to welcome you to the Worldwide Rally for Freedom 9.0. Our freedom movement is united around the world to stand for our fundamental human rights. And today, we return to the streets to resist the Great Reset. Our freedom movement stands as one to push back against the tyranny of the Andrews regime. The free people of Melbourne will never forget the horrors of September last year. Raise your hand if you were here September last year. We will not rest until we bring accountability to those who have violated our human rights. And today, I can assure you that the fight to remove Daniel Andrews from office is well and truly underway. 1 year on, we remember the world's longest and most brutally enforced lockdowns. 1 year on, we remember the brutality and the politicised enforcement of Victoria Police. 1 year on, we remember each and every single one of those people who stood as rubber bullets flew when it mattered the most. And most of all, 1 year on, Melbourne still stands strong. Before us, we face the most important state election in Victorian history. Before us, we have the greatest opportunity to change our state to protect our human rights. Before us, we see the dark pathway ahead if we let the Andrews regime remain in power. And before us, we know that our future depends wholeheartedly on our ability to overhaul the Victorian government. It's time to end all vaccine mandates for all workers and protect our freedom of choice. It's time to repeal the pandemic bill and revoke the emergency powers of the Public Health and Wellbeing Act. It's time to rescind all fines and charges pending for breaches of pandemic orders. And most of all, it's time to ensure that the Victorian government can never, ever repeat this again. We need to remove Daniel Andrews from office and prosecute him for the land against to end the cash for preferences deal-making of Glenn Jury and the parties who work with him. We know that Melbourne is not alone, and that the Great Reset is being implemented all around the world. We know that food and energy shortages are being driven down on the people of Europe as we speak. And we know that the influence of the Chinese Communist Party is weighing heavily on Western governments, and it needs to end. We must protect Australia from the dictatorial policies of the World Health Organization. We must protect Australia from the corrupt agenda of the World Economic Forum. We must protect Australia from the Great Reset that aims to diminish our freedom and our independence. And we must protect Australia with a comprehensive Bill of Rights. Australians must push back against the enforcement of centralised digital identity requirements. Australians must push back against the implementation of a central bank digital currency. Australians must push back against the development of a social credit scoring system. And all Australians must join us in pushing back against the rising tide of the globalist one world government. From the Westgate Bridge to the Shrine of Remembrance, from the Valley of Death to the Parliament steps, the free people of Melbourne have marched with strength week in and week out. Melbourne will rise to every occasion and challenge and obstacle in our path. Because when we come together, Melbourne is unstoppable. Up next we have some more amazing speakers. I would like to introduce to you Morgan C. Jonas. Ladies and gentlemen, give it a call.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I'd like to welcome everybody for coming out. And first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to Harrison and the whole team at Freedom Rally. Guys, give them a round of applause. I'd also like to express my gratitude for each and every one of you that have come out here today. So many of you have been through such immense suffering over the past few years. So the fact that you're still here, you're still optimistic, and you're still willing to fight is something that I truly admire. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today because the Victorian government and those in Parliament, with very few exceptions, have failed the people. One of those exceptions is standing right here, Catherine Cumming. Guys, make some noise for Catherine. What we see without any doubt is that those who have been elected to serve us have abrogated their duty of care, and they have placed their own interests in front of the interests of the people of Victoria. We look around our state today and it is a very sad state of affairs. We see a government-imposed energy crisis that is sending our fellow Victorians into poverty. We see a state debt that will burden future generations for many years to come. And everywhere we go, we see utter decimation of livelihoods as a result of lockdowns. We know that we cannot stand for 4 more years of this type of governance, and should this governance continue, it won't be 4 more years. My very firm belief is that Victoria, as we know it, will be lost forever. So ladies and gentlemen, what do we do in this situation? What do we do? Do we have any suggestions? I'll tell you what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We put our boots on, we get on the ground, we do everything we can to speak to our fellow Victorians. We hit the polling booths in November and we sack the whole damn lot of them. Future generations are depending on us. Nobody's coming to save us. There's no white hats coming to save us. It's all up to us. The person to your left, the person to your right, look around. These are the people that are going to be fighting for the future of Victoria. Now, I had an interesting little experience earlier in the week. My friend Catherine over here invited myself and our Deputy Leader Aidan to bear witness to the re-swearing in of our MPs. So we took a little trip down to the lower house. We sat upstairs in the gallery and we saw Daniel Andrews and his crew walk in. So Daniel Andrews took his seat and he had a big face mask on. I've never seen one so big before. And he saw us sitting up in the gallery and he made eye contact with us for a good 5 seconds. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he knows who we are. And let me say that I've never seen a man with so much fear in his eyes. He knows that he's done. The man's losing friends fast, the walls are closing in, so I say that our approach is really simple. Step number 1, sack him in November. Alright, that's a start. Sorry. Step number 2, we must, by all means necessary, bring on the criminal charges. It's not enough to simply have this man voted out of office. He must stand up and be held answerable for the pain and suffering of Victoria, in addition to that. We know that we need change, and that change can only be brought about honestly. We'll campaign hard, we'll tell the truth, we'll do so ethically, and I can look each and every one of you in the eyes and tell you that nobody from our organisation will ever lie, cheat, deceive or exploit anyone as a means of getting elected. Nobody in our organisation will enter into a cash deal for preferences. You have my commitment on that as well. I have a special announcement that I'm so happy to announce today, and that is we have recently endorsed a new candidate. I think that is somebody that everybody knows. He's somebody that everybody loves. He has put everything on the line, standing up for us, standing up for our medical privacy. Make him feel welcome, the great Dr. Mark Hobart.
Thank you so much. Morgan is a great friend. We met 2 years ago, a man of great integrity and courage. He chased those thugs out of my doctor's clinic. My wife actually rang him up. And he came round from the other side of town and chased them all out. I'm going to stay there until they found those files. And they didn't get one file, do you know that? They didn't get any. They said that they were going to stay here until they got the files, but they couldn't. They were chased out. And this was after the leader of that pack said to me, "Why won't you give me the files?" And I said, "Because they're private and confidential patient files." And he to me, because of the new law, which he said was from 2020, I think, there's no such thing as private and confidential patient files anymore. That's fair income. I couldn't believe it. And I said, well, listen, I obey a much older law than yours. My law is 2,500 years old. It's the Hippocratic Oath. So you're not getting it. And then they shut me down. And then they suspended me. I saw so much suffering over the last 3 months leading up to that, I couldn't believe it. It was immense human suffering of a scale I could not have imagined. I would say that when I asked, 50% of the people who came to me for vaccine exemptions had suicidal thoughts. I mean, this is unbelievable. And they said, I'm a danger to the public. You've got to be kidding. Who's a danger to the public? Exactly. Anyway, I'm thrilled. Hopefully I will get in and I can stand up, expose the corruption and make them accountable, and so this never ever happens again.
Guys, give it up for Dr. Mark Hobart! I'm going to wrap it up really quickly. Everybody here must be made aware that it is now or never. If we don't turn things around in Victoria, our state, as you know it, will be lost forever. We've seen over 100,000 people leave already. Believe me, if this government gets back in, that 100,000 will be nothing more than a grain of sand compared to the exodus that we're about to see. This is our state, this is our home. It is incumbent on every man and woman that loves Victoria to stand up and fight. So I'm going to be brazen and say, join me, join Catherine, join those that are taking these people on, and let's get out there and make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Thank you, Morgan. Give it up for Morgan, everybody! Up next today,